What's a scary or disturbing fact that would probably keep most people awake at night?
You could have a brain aneurysm with zero symptoms. Any day it could rupture and kill you from significant blood loss. Happened to my mom's friend right in front of her. The seemingly perfectly healthy woman died at 40 without warning during a work trip and while having drinks with her friends. 1 second she was laughing, the next second she was on the ground. Never woke up again. My poor mom was the one that had to call her husband and kids.
The serial killer Richard Chase would try random houses to break into. If the door was unlocked, he saw it as being an invitation. If it was locked, he saw it as a sign that he was unwelcome.
When swimming in stagnant water, you could inhale an amoeba which eats its way through your nose and then eats your brainstem.
There is a spider that has fangs so powerful that it can bite through a leather boot. It usually attacks multiple times, and you have to grab it and pry it off of you. It is also incredibly deadly. Edit. I wrote it below here, but it's the Sydney funnel web spider. Because of its venom, it is the deadliest spider.
In child cases, someone has to actually watch the video beginning to end, so they can testify about it in court to seal a conviction.
When an autopsy is performed, the organs are removed, weighed, sliced and placed into a plastic bag. This includes the brain and tongue. Once they're finished, they put everything together in the plastic bag and place it in the chest cavity. So when you're buried, your brain is actually in your chest.
It's estimated that there's somewhere around 25 to 50 serial killers that are active each year in the US. Many pandemics come in waves, and more people died in the second wave of the Spanish flu than the first.
30% of the weight of solid feces is dead bacteria. Edit. For those of you requesting a source, here you go. I'm actually editing a book that gives a higher percentage, which I had to fact check. I've not received a response to my author query about the discrepancy, but that's okay. I'm at the limit of my curiosity. Also, in terms of source, the person below that said typically, the anus made me laugh, as did the person who responded typically. For those of you who want a percentage in liquid feces, I'm having some difficulty with the centrifuge and will get back to you.
There are a fair number of missing nuclear weapons. Edited to add. I certainly didn't expect this level of response. Thanks for the awards. For context, I used to work for a US intelligence service on a project tasked with recovering these things. It was, simultaneously, the most boring and terrifying year and a half of my life.
Cancer is extremely common. You likely have cancer right now. The only things stopping you from going terminal are your immune system and more cancer. That's right. Cancer can get cancer that kills the cancer.
If an imploding star were to create a gamma-ray burst, and that GRB were to hit the Earth, we'd never know it because we'd simply cease to exist. Poof.
In the 70s to 80s, the first case of many Southeast Asian refugees in the US who died screaming in their sleep was recorded. This was common for Lao Hmong men who lived through the Cambodian genocide and CIA recruitment for the Lao Civil War. It's theorized that this was an extreme form of PTSD. One story. The man had stayed up for days fearing he would be attacked if he slept. He drank coffee and lied to his parents about sleeping. He did everything he could to keep from sleeping. When he finally fell asleep, his parents thought this crisis was over. Then they heard screams in the middle of the night. By the time they got to him, he was dead. He died in the middle of a nightmare. Edit. I said first recorded, but I'm dumb, and this was not the first record of it. And Lao Civil War not Nam. Edit 2. Some articles from the Time, a digital New York Times article from when the cases really started racking up in 81. And La Times article from 88. Edit. Yes, I watched Game Theory, it freaked me out, and taught me something. I posted this, and learned more from you all, like apparently the story I wrote was a fake one. But man, is it a memorable reminder of the effects of a war that no one really talks about.
Someday, one last person will remember you for the last time, and from that day forward, no one ever will. On average, you will walk past 36 murderers in your lifetime. Hopefully the next time you do go past one, they'll say, no, not that one, too good looking.
You probably already escaped death or serious injury in your lifetime by simply being in the right place at the right time.
If you compress the time from the Big Bang to the present in a single year, then January 1st, the Big Bang occurred. January 10th, the first star was born. January 13th, first small galaxy. March 15th, the Milky Way formed, but not the sun. August 31st, the sun was born. That's approximately 4.5 billion years ago. The Earth was born from a disk of gas and dust orbiting the newborn sun. Repeated collisions produced a glowing ball. The Earth was quite unstable in the beginning. But September 21st, life began. 3.5 billion years ago. November 9th, life was breathing, moving, eating. We owe a lot to those early microbes. They invented sexual reproduction. December 17th, life came from water to land. December 28th, the first flower blossomed. 6:24 a.m., December 30th, an asteroid hit Earth and wiped out dinosaurs that could endanger the survival of sapiens on Earth. 60 million years ago, for the first time in the history of the universe, the conditions were just good enough for humans. 11:59 and 46 seconds p.m. December 31st, all recorded history occupies these last 14 seconds. We learned how to cultivate crops, tame animals, astronomy, mathematics, and painting. About 13 seconds ago, we invented writing. Moses was born 7 seconds ago. Buddha 6 seconds ago. Jesus 5 seconds ago. Muhammad 3 seconds ago. A second ago, we discovered that the Earth is not the center of the universe. And just when that second was about to finish, we reached the moon. Every person you have ever heard of, met, loved, hated, kissed, and reproduced with, lives in those 14 seconds.
This one's a little esoteric, but the fundamental properties of the universe might suddenly decide to change one day. It might be an insignificant change, or so great that all matter would just cease to exist, and we wouldn't see it coming until we blinked out of existence. Edit. Fixed link so it didn't point to the infiction bit. Edit 2. As several people have pointed out below, upvotes to everyone who linked it.
You can actually wake up during surgery. But the worst part is that you are still paralyzed. So you can feel everything what they do to you, but you can't signal to them that you are conscious. This is one of my worst fears.
The one that I remember most often is this one. Either we are completely alone in this universe, or we are not.
In the US, if you are the first patient to ever receive that type of implant, or if your implant is part of an alpha study, you have no legal right to know that. You can flat out ask your doctor, and they're allowed to lie to your face and say they've implanted hundreds of these devices before when you're literally the first one. Edit. Grammar. I was kidnapped as a child and ever since then I always close all blinds in the house as soon as it's sunset because I am still so paranoid after all these years. I constantly think that someone is stalking me. It's uncomfortable. There is a plant called dendropnide moroids, also known as jimpy jimpy or the suicide plant. It's mostly found in Australia and has little stinging hairs all over it. When tucked, they inject a neurotoxin in your body which hurts so much that most people rather kill themselves than waiting the 1 or 2 days until it gets better. I have the information from another Redditor on this sub and haven't found anything that literally says yeah they killed themselves, but I do believe it true. Anyway, Ernie Ryder, who got hit by this plant in 1963, said, "For 2 or 3 days the pain was almost unbearable. I couldn't work or sleep, then it was pretty bad pain for another fortnight or so. The stinging persisted for 2 years and recurred every time I had a cold shower. There's nothing to rival it. It's 10 times worse than anything else." Source.
Prions exist. Edit. I am not that good with biology, so I left it to other Redditors to explain. But since so many of you asked, prions are misfolded proteins that cause other proteins that interact them to become misfolded or prions themselves. This can't stop crucial body processes and cause death, and there's no cure or fake.
Think of someone you love but only see a few times a year. Now take a guess at how many years until one of you dies. How many more times in your lifetime are you going to see that person? If you move away from your parents and only see them 3 times a year and you expect them to live another 30 years, that's less than 100 times you will ever see them again.
If the Yellowstone supervolcano erupted, it would decimate most of America. It's unlikely to happen anytime soon, but it's 2020. The year of absolute. So, it wouldn't surprise me at this point. Edit. I've been told that it would actually affect most of the world, not just America. And I apparently misused the word decimate.
The US and Russia have over 10,000 nuclear warheads pointed at each other, right now ready to launch at a moment's notice. Enough to destroy civilization as we know it many times over.
Stifling a sneeze can rupture your throat. Edit. Thank you for those who pointed out that my title was a little bit misleading. You'll be fine as long you don't suppress your sneeze. Have a good day.
There's a type of wasp that when it stings you the best thing for you to do is to just lay down in the fetal position and just start crying/screaming because its venom is so powerful. Edit. have been told that the tarantula hawk wasp edit too. Holy asterisk 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 did not expect it to blow up.
The Elon School was open for 40 years and voluntarily closed in 2011. Nobody was arrested for creating this place.
For those unfamiliar, a hockey player named Colby Cave just passed away 2 days ago from a brain bleed in his sleep. It's horrifying that a 25-year-old in peak physical condition can go to bed and just die essentially. Especially by something so far beyond anyone's control. Totally heartbreaking series of events.
Here's 3. 1. Goats were used as a medieval torture method. Strap someone to a chair for 2 days, with their feet dipped in salt water. Release a goat into the room. The goat will lick the salt of the victim's feet, and since a goat's tongue is super coarse, it will strip the flesh off down to the bone. No pleading, and no mercy, the goat won't care about the screams. 2. In very ancient times, a way of execution was to bend 2 palm trees together, tie someone's ankles to them, and let the palm trees go. They would immediately spring up, ripping the victim in 2. 3. It's better to pick up a human head with 2 hands, because it's as heavy as a bowling ball and the weight is uneven. I'm not sure about picking it up by the hair, because I'm pretty sure it would be slick with blood.